All right, guys. Today is March 17th, 2024. We're here to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, Season 1, Episodes 1 through 4. We'll talk about the latest episode, which is Episode 4, titled What We. And that is going to be the last 45 minutes of the hour-long stream, so please don't post any spoilers in the chats on there, too. So I went a little early before our 1 o'clock time, so I'll wait for people to join here. So hopefully you're safe and sound and you're doing well, and happy St. Patrick's Day. And, so today is kind of a big day for a couple things. So we have The Ones Who Live, Season 1, Episode 4. We have Selection Sunday for March Madness College Basketball. And it's St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you and yours. Be safe, of course. And, so, as everything that we knew would be going around, there's a lot of speculation. So my green is right here. My neon green right here. My Under Armour. So there too. So that's my neon green Under Armour. There you go. So ultimately, where's your green at? So ultimately, we are here to talk about the Walking Dead universe. Hopefully you're safe and sound. Have you seen the episode already? Did it live up to the hype? I don't know. People are saying it's the best episode ever, and it's not the best episode ever. It's a good episode, don't get me wrong, but it's not the best episode ever. I don't think it holds a candle to Season 6, Episode 9, No Way Out. But it was written by Denai Guerrera, starred in by Denai Guerrera and Andy Lincoln, and that's pretty much everybody in there besides some walkers. So it's an episode that needs to talk about. It's an episode we need to talk about and need to happen, but we'll talk about that in about 14 minutes. So what shows, movies are you guys watching? So we just started the one show on Peacock called like Apples Never Fall or something like that too, and it's pretty good. It's we only watched one episode. We're watching Full Swing on Netflix. It's the golf documentary thing, and it's pretty awesome. So it's we're watching that, and haven't really seen any other movies or anything. What are you guys watching? What are you guys checking out? Let us know. It's always cool to see there too. So again, the word was that Dead City Season 2 will start filming next month in Massachusetts. So that's still the word. I know, I think the kid who plays Herschel young Herschel, is talking about they're going to be filming next week, and he's like a darker character or something. But, to be honest, Herschel and Maggie were some of the weakest parts of Dead City, and Negan was one of the better parts. So will Season 2 be good? Will Season 2 be bad? I'm not sure. So there's a lot of people talking about a lot of different things, and a lot of people seem to think that Rick dies. And they're talking about Andy Lincoln's interview, and this was said, and Gimple did this, and he didn't like what Andy Lincoln said, and they were joking, and there was this. But it makes sense. I've always said this many months ago, that if people were going to die, it would be fitting and understandable that Rick Grimes dies, because Andy Lincoln, I think, is done playing the character. And so everyone thinks a lot of fans want to see another season of this show, another season of The Walking Dead, a billion different shows, spinoffs, a big epic battle with CRM, and just everything. I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't know if we're going to get other stories, other spinoffs, other shows over that. I don't know if we're going to see Rick and Michonne after this show, if it's possible, if it's a thing. I hope so. It's something that I want to see. It just feels right watching Rick and Michonne, right? Like every episode I'm watching, I just believe that it's Rick and Michonne. It's Denai and Andy, and they're talking, and they're just pulling it off, right? So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I just don't know what the future holds for them. I mean, we just don't know for that at all for certain. So we're getting closer, guys. So this was episode 4 that aired today on AMC Plus this morning, tonight on AMC. And all I can say is if you want the spoilers, we're going to talk about the episode in about 10 minutes. But if you really want the spoilers, just go check out my other video, because it's spot on. It's basically the entire episode. So it was legit, it was real, and it's pretty much basically exactly what happens. So ultimately, the ones who live clearly was supposed to be 6 movies. 3 movies instead of 6 episodes. It would be awesome if it was 6 movies. But 6 episodes from 3 movies. And it makes sense that it kind of feels that way. So episodes 1 and 2 was clearly the first movie. 3 and 4 was the second movie. And 5 and 6 would have been the last movie. But it's just something that we got what we got. And it's one of those things we haven't really seen Rick and Michonne for a long time. And now we're seeing them. And, in 2 weeks, it'll be over. On the 31st of March, it's done. And in the trailer for next week's episode, it says only 2 episodes left in their little breaking up parts of the trailer. So that sucks. I don't know how many people are watching it. I don't know how many people are checking it out, if they're watching on AMC Plus, or however they're doing it. But I think it's the best show we've seen in the Walking Dead universe in a long time. And that goes with Dead City and, Daryl Dixon and all that stuff too. So Dead City is a show that people are having all these things. Like, well, if Rick and Michonne were in Philly, but they're not currently on the show, they're west, how come they don't run into Negan and Maggie? Well, they're not there now. Like, the last time we saw them, the last episode, so last week's episode, they were in the Cascades or Cascadia or whatever. They're western, right? Is that Montana? Is it Oregon? Is it Washington? Is it this? I don't know exactly where it is, but ultimately it's west, pretty close to Portland. Now, I would assume that Rick and Michonne are going to need help to take on the CRM, right? So who's going to be that help? We don't get any answers in this episode, but who's going to be their help? Is it going to be Portland? Is it going to be Morgan? Because if they're pretty far west, Morgan's going to Alexandria, I'm guessing, from Georgia, from King County, Georgia, to Virginia, then maybe to the Commonwealth. And I don't know. I don't know what the plan of it is. And I don't know if Gimple does and whatever it is, but everyone's always looking for the next. Well, I heard that Rick's going to die, and I heard that Morgan's going to join the show, and I heard Morgan's going to save Rick, and I heard that Michonne's going to do this, and I heard this is going to happen, and I heard this, and I heard that, and I heard, blah, 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 blah. It's always a bunch of I heards, or this YouTuber said this, or this person said this, or that's not this, and during this interview they said that. It's just like too much. Like, let's just see where it's going to go a little bit. When we get information, we share it. We highlight it. Do you watch it? Do you not? I don't know. It's something that you don't have to. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. You can just pay attention or not, or just check in when you want and see how it goes. But ultimately, we're here to watch the Rick and Michonne saga, the epic love story of them. So, it's definitely interesting. It's a great connection with the show, and it's definitely helping the Walking Dead universe. Like, I don't care how many people watch the show. I don't care that this is going to happen. I don't care what these people are saying. I don't care that. It's like, let's just take it for what it is. Let's just see where it's going to be, how it's going to go down, and what's going to happen unfold. Denai Guerrera wrote episode 4. And so and during the behind the scenes of the episode, inside the episode thing, Gimple, Denai, and Andy talk about the episode. They talk about things. And Andy and Denai and Gimple had a hand in the show. Definitely something that was awesome, and you can see that it's rewarding, and they're putting their best effort towards it. But Gimple says when they broke up the season and they said they're going to do this, and then this, Denai said, I'm writing that episode. And she wrote episode 4 that just aired. And it's awesome. It's a good show. It's a good story. It's a good thing that had to happen. Now, it's a bottle episode, basically, but it had to happen for what it is. So I'm excited to see where it happens. And big ups to Denai Guerrera, who did a great job writing the episode. And it's funny. It's sad. It's funny. It's got some action. It's like stuff happens in the episode. But that being said, we're going to talk about it for sure as well. So Carol, Q&A, I'm seeing how World Beyond Fear and Daryl Dixon tie into The Ones Who Live, but how does Dead City? Have I missed something? Well, I don't know, right? I don't see how it's connected at all because they haven't mentioned New York. You know, the CRM is a hidden city, a hidden group, a quiet group. They stay hidden on purpose, right? So, and Dead City is just New York. You have to get there by boat, and we haven't really seen too many boats by the CRM, but I'm sure they have them. I'm sure they have that. We saw one kind of boat, but it didn't have the rings, and so it had some stuff for it. But either way, it is what it is, and it is. They can get around, I'm sure, on the water just as much. But they're basically just a helicopter group on there too that we've seen more than anything, but. You know, I don't know if they're going that direction because really Maggie and Negan have nothing to do with Rick and Michonne and RJ and Judith and Alexandria and the Commonwealth. They left, right? Negan left the area. He's an outsider. He has nothing to do with Rick, nothing to do with Michonne, nothing to do with any of that too. So we'll have to see what happens with the stuff that unfolds, you know, yeah, so Dawn says, what if Michonne is the one that came back? Exactly. That's what everybody's thinking, right? Everyone is thinking, oh, who's coming back? Who came back? So on the Daryl Dixon show, it was left ambiguous on purpose to ask that same exact question. What if blank is the one that came back? Insert Michonne or Negan or Maggie or this or that or Morgan or that. Insert any name you want, and you can build a theory or an idea for it, right? So a lot of people already think now that Michonne makes it back. I don't know why it couldn't be Rick and Michonne, but if it's got to be one person, I'm guessing it's Michonne. I said for a long time that between the two people, the two people that would survive, it was between Rick or Michonne. I think Michonne survives. Rick dies in the comic. Not Michonne. Rick would sacrifice himself. Michonne would live to get back to her kids. Like, it just makes sense, right? And so I just see Andy Lincoln eventually dying, whether it's on this show or the next series or whatever, because it fits that Andy Lincoln is done playing the character of Rick Grimes. And if he's dead, then he's dead. And he's not coming back. I equate him just like Robert Downey Jr. And people are saying the same thing about Robert Downey Jr. Is he going to come back? Can he come back? Is he going to do the Secret Wars movie? Is he going to do that? Is he going to be this? Well, he died, but what about that time in between there? What if there's some other thing going on? And it could be, right? Well, there could be the same thing with Rick. But I'm guessing this, if not very soon, is going to be Rick's last hurrah. As long as Rick does not die by some punk teenager. That is annoying writing. It was stupid in the comic. It's stupid on all the shows. It was stupid on Fear the Walking Dead. It's stupid all over the Walking Dead universe. And they love to put that in there where a kid kills a main character or a character that we like to show that this world is dangerous and all this nonsense. Like, come on. It's just dumb. It's stupid writing. And the Walking Dead universe has been all over the place. Like, it was building up and building up and building up and building up all the way up to when Negan showed up. And then when Negan showed up, they didn't know what they were doing. And stuff was this and stuff was that. And we didn't know how to have this and they didn't have that. You know, when it's different in a comic book, right? It's just crap. But it is what it is. And we get what we get. And we don't get upset. And it's fun. It's either way. It's relevant again. The Walking Dead universe is relevant again. You know, Fear the Walking Dead had probably a fraction of the amount of viewership that this is having. And this is one of the highest rated AMC Plus shows and AMC viewed shows and AMC, whatever. It's really good, you know? So I'm hoping that it makes sense. And it's just one of those things where we'll see where it's going to be for the remaining 2 episodes next week and the following week too. So again, guys, if you want to check out the other video for full spoilers, we'll talk about the episode for sure. But we made a video a couple days ago when we found out information about the episode, season 1, episode 4. and it's basically spot on after watching the episode. So that's always good that the sources were legit, and it was good to share with, and over there too, guys. So, all right. So 15 minutes in, spoilers, spoiler warning, spoilers, and one more time, spoilers. So season 1, episode 4 is a good episode. It's not the best episode ever made. It's basically the whole episode is Michonne and Rick making it to this apartment building that is like awesome. They have power, they have electricity, they have Roombas, they have all this stuff, but they don't have food. You know, like they don't have that, which is pretty essential, right? Like you can have an electrical power grid and solar power and all this stuff, but if you can't keep people fed and hydrated and all this stuff, it's not going to work out. And here in this building, it didn't work out. One of the hard things I have to believe is, yeah, they have running water, but they didn't have food, evidently. So people starved to death. Because you can survive, you know, the general rule is the rule of 3. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So, but so Carol says, Q&A saw a lot of red in this episode. Only two people in this one. What do you make of this one? Any theories? Well, you know, there's red all over this series, like all over every episode, basically. And so I still think that is a good shot that we lose one of these characters too. So we're going to have to see, you know, what actually happens with it. And I still stand by my red theory. So, but I think if we're going to lose a character, it would be Rick at some point. So we didn't lose him here. No one died. It was basically the Rick and Michonne story that Rick and Michonne jumped out of the helicopter, or Michonne grabbed Rick and they fell out of the helicopter. They landed in water. They climbed up the mountain, rock side, whatever, got to this building, got in there, got into one of the rooms pretty easily, might add. Like, there was no keys, I don't know. The building was unlocked, or I don't know. But either way, they got in there, and Michonne and Rick argue it out for like half of the episode. And then Rick comes to a epiphany moment that, yeah, well, so the helicopter they were in crashed into a building next to their building, or one part of their building, or something. And then a CRM helicopter comes and fires, you know, a rocket into that helicopter, blows it up, which is basically making the building crumble, and then it eventually falls at the end. But Rick and Michonne survive, and they leave the building. So Rick is always worried about the safety of Michonne, the safety of Judith, the safety of Alexandria, the safety of his people, because he knows that Jadis said to him that if he tries to leave again, or he kills Jadis, or does anything of significance, that he doesn't stay there, that Jadis is going to go kill the people that he cares about, right? So it just seems like a big, like, what if thing. Like, of course, we're following Rick Grimes, and that's our guy, but why wouldn't Jadis just kill Rick, or try to kill Rick, you know? So, yeah, Brian, we're talking about spoilers. We're into the episode. But either way, Rick and Michonne in this building, and it's like this up-to-date, they got water, they got energy, they just don't have food in this building. There's a Roomba going around. And at first I was like, well, how would they have a Roomba? Like, was a Roomba even made at the start of this thing? And it was. It came out in 2002. I looked it up because I was like, okay, if this is supposed to be from 2010 on, or around there, what was around there? What was already out, right? Because they have a bunch of iPhones, right? All these different iPhones, and the etching on the iPhone, and the drawings on the iPhones, and the iPhones of this. Instead of paper, like, whatever happened to like a piece of paper, or like an actual painting, or some sort of thing that was, you know, laminated? I don't know, something. I don't know. But either way, the The phones are the mobile art for it. So Rick says, he checks his little like beeper thing that he punches hits the button and the helicopter is nowhere to find him. The GPS locator, basically. Rick lost his, and Michonne has hers. And so Rick thinks about calling them, that he has to go back, and then he explains. And Rick, it's basically coming down to a simple thing. Rick wants to protect Michonne and his family. He's willing to sacrifice himself to stay at the CRM if Michonne can get away. And that pisses Michonne off because Michonne says, look, why would you do that without me? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? Why would you think that it's not good for us to be together? And Rick knows the thing about Jadis, so they talk about it and they do this. Basically, everything gets aired out, right? Rick says everything about Jadis, tells Michonne everything. Michonne tells Rick about RJ and Judith and some stuff, and Rick sees the X on the scar on her back, and it's just like, a catch-up moment. It's a much-needed episode to catch Rick up so they can be on the same page. And then Rick doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to do this, and Michonne leaves, and she grabs a knife, and she grabs a thing of bamboo that's laughable because that would not do anything. And she sees walkers outside, and as she's about to leave to go out, she has her kitchen knife, and she's going to think about killing all the walkers that are outside. The CRM helicopter comes, and Rick leaves the apartment, runs down the hallway, and as the helicopter blows up, the helicopter that's stuck in the side of the wall, like in the trailer that we saw many months ago, Rick, not tackles, but like protects Michonne, and they fall to the floor, and the glass breaks, and all these walkers get in, and they kill some of the walkers, and they escape, and Rick and Michonne are safe, but they have to go back inside, and they can't just leave just yet because the walkers that were outside are now inside. So all I kept thinking about it over and over again is like, this is a nice facility. This is an awesome facility. It's got, a great apartment lodging stuff, water, electricity. It's got technology that it's talking about climate control and the desired temperature. It's got Roombas. It's got this. How come the CRM wouldn't find it? How come they didn't find it at some point or there too? But Rick and Michonne found it, and no one else found it over the years, but it is what it is. And either way, it's one of those classic Walking Dead things where our group goes somewhere, they stay there, and they're like, we could have just stayed here, and it would have been good, and they could have made their headquarters, right? But then at the end of it, it crumbles and collapses when Rick and Michonne drive away in the yellow hybrid SUV truck thing that they have ethanol gas and electricity and whatever, and it's like a hybrid. And so they get away safe, and the building crumbles. So it's not to be found on there too. So Brian asks Q&A, hey, Brian, do you think Michonne only mentioned Daryl and the kids is more proof that Michonne will never reunite with the other OG characters in the story release their end? I hope not. Like, I don't want it to be the end. I just think they mentioned it because they're getting Rick up to date of the stuff, and the scars connected with Daryl and Michonne, and they were out looking for him, and they were doing this. And it's basically you get to see Michonne's side and Rick's side, and Rick's like, look, I tried to leave. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to stay. I wanted to leave. I wanted to be with you guys. I wanted to be with you, but I couldn't. And he's stuck in a tough place. And then Michonne's side is like, look, we can't give up. What are you talking about? This is not the man I fell in love with. This is not the man I know. I don't know this Rick Grimes. I don't know that on there too. And it's basically like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then they have, a moment where they fall in love again, and they, get it on and do this and blah, blah, blah. And they talk about, RJ and how he's stubborn like his dad, like his mom. And it's all these like little rom-com moments and relationship moments on there too. But Rick keeps thinking, we have to go back. We have to go back. I have to go back. I have to go back. I have to go back. And it's not done in a way that's annoying, but it's done where Michonne has to keep, talking about it too. So, Slizzle2290, thank you for the super chat. Says, how can anybody deny Andy and Emmy after this performance? Just brilliant. Exactly. So, I think if anybody was going to win an Emmy, it should have been Andrew Lincoln for his performance. And it's definitely something where he should have won, or at least, I don't even know if he's been nominated. Right? Like, at least been nominated for it, too. So, Brian, Acom, Q&A, why didn't Michonne talk about the Pikes and the Whisper of War? Well, because it's a 50-minute long episode. And do you think that Michonne needs to be like, okay, Rick, here it is. So Jesus died, and the Whisperer War, and Alpha, and this and that, and all this stuff, like all this stuff. Like when you left, there was a time jump, and we met this girl Magna, and we met this guy, and we met her, and she doesn't need to say all this stuff. She just needs to say pertinent information, and I think that's all. And maybe she did tell her, but we just didn't see that too. So, Tushanex, do you think Michonne will kill Jadis, or will Rick do it? I don't know. I don't know what the name of the game plan is, because I don't know what the writing is, I should say, because when Rick said to Negan, I'm going to kill you, but he never did, right? He could have, and he tried to, and then he said save him, and it didn't work out. But Jadis and him had that conversation and confrontation, is that Jadis said, you thinking about killing me? You want to kill me? He's like, I will, just not today. So Rick said this before. Is there going to be... I could see it being exactly the same way. Rick has his knife hand thing, slits her throat, and they save her. But it would be annoying, and it would be frustrating. That means it'll probably happen. Because The Walking Dead loves to keep annoying characters around. And if the plan is to keep a villain around, it would probably be Jadis, because Jadis is connected with World Beyond, Walking Dead, now this show. So it would make sense to have that too. I don't know if it will or not, but I think Jadis needs to die. And Michonne even brings that up. We could just kill her, get the information, get that, and leave. But I don't know where it's going, because the plan was that Michonne wants to leave because they were supposed to be in the helicopter. And now everyone died in the helicopter, I'm guessing. Plus they blew up the helicopter. Plus the locator thing that Rick had was destroyed. Now Michonne's got destroyed in the rubble and everything there too. So all their connections died. But, after Rick and Michonne have their, life is good, blah, blah, blah moment, Rick talks about, being broken and he was lost, and that he says literally in the episode that they took Carl away from him, that he used to dream of meeting up with Carl. And it's one of those things where it's sad, because they show you Rick and young Carl walking around, and Rick and young Carl holding hands, and it's used footage from the previous stuff, especially when Rick was thinking of Carl and everything. And then he's like, I can't remember him. I can't think of him. I don't dream of him. I don't do this. I don't do that. And then Michonne takes out a phone with the etching of Carl on it. And that is a sad moment and a nice moment and a good moment. And it brings Rick back. It makes Rick snap out of the funk that he was saying, because we all understand that Rick was thinking about saving and protecting Michonne. But Michonne is like, look, I don't care if we die. I don't care if we do this. We need to try. We need to be together. We need to work on this. We need to do anything. We can handle anything. Them two working together can do anything. They can take over the CRM. They can take over stuff like that. And maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Maybe Rick sacrifices himself. I don't know how it's going to be. But so Rick, after getting it on and doing this and doing that, and the building's kind of collapsing, and there's like the voice talking about, the elevators have so much power left, and blah, 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 and things are happening. The Roomba keeps coming up and cleaning, and but it wouldn't dust the tables and stuff. Like, there would be dust all over that. I mean, the Roomba just gets the floor. But either way, Michonne says that she got one of those vacuums when it first came out. And it's a nice just filler episode where everyone gets caught up and everyone knows this, and Rick and Michonne get back to normal. Because in the episode, they're going around and they're killing walkers, and they're kind of like arguing about it, right? And Michonne grabs like a piece of rebar or something, and she's killing walkers with that, and Rick uses his knife hand, and he has a knife. And then a chandelier falls on top of Michonne. And this is before they get it on. But the chandelier falls and it traps Michonne's leg. It doesn't hurt Michonne, but Rick has to kill walkers and help her and do this and do that. And it's kind of like a bonding moment because they've been through some stuff. And then Rick helps her up and they get up and they move on. And, Michonne just keeps needing to hear that he loves her and that he'll do anything for her. And she just has to understand Rick's side. And then they have to basically come to the decision that they're going to do this. So Rick's like, after they get it on, they have the good moments. And Rick sees the phone with Carl and everything on it. He's like, all right, we got to go. And Michonne says, no, not until I know what we're going to do. I'm not going anywhere until I know where you're going. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So, because when Rick and Michonne are like bickering back and forth, Michonne says, all right, Commando. And Rick's like, Commando? Huh. And it's just funny. Like, it's just, you buy into them being in a relationship and they love each other and they care about each other, but it just works. Like, it just works there too. And it's just really funny. And so Rick says, all right, we got to go. And Michonne says, no, not until I know where we're going. Because Michonne doesn't want to go back to the CRM. She doesn't want anything to do with them. She wants to leave. She wants to go back home. She wants to go back. And she even brings it up that she doesn't know about Judith. And Judith isn't answering her on the radio anymore. And she fears, she doesn't know the safety of Judith. And she's like, I didn't do this to find you and to find it like this. I am killing myself because she's worried about her kids. And she's like, I never would have done this if I knew it would be. It was just like, it's just a moment where like it works and it buys in and it's not cheesy and it's not stupid and it just works. It just does a great job of the characters and the development. Because a lot of people would say, how could Michonne leave her kids? And how could she do this? And how could she do that? And how could she would never leave her kids. I would never leave my kids. I would never do that. And probably not, but she wouldn't be in a fictional thing with zombies either. But Michonne like talks about it there too. She's like, I would never do this. Like, why? I would feel terror about this if I can't get back to my kids. Like, the whole point is to her to get Rick, bring him home, and bring him back. So I still have the idea, and it's been my theory and how I would write it for a long time, that Rick gets injured, but Michonne is able to bring him back, and he gets to meet RJ and see Judith and have the final goodbye, and then he dies. I think that would be the best way to write off the character. Because if we don't have the reunions with Rick, Michonne, RJ, Judith, if that's it, that's fine. Some people need a reunion with Morgan, and if it's going to be that way, great. But it would be nice if Morgan stepped into the room and had a final goodbye too. Like, it just would be a final goodbye to Rick. But Rick is mortally wounded, but it takes him like 2 days to die. He's not going to die in 10 minutes, kind of a thing. And so, but that's just my theory. That's how I would write it too. So, but ultimately, Rick says, we're going to go home. We're going to get out of here. We're good. Because the helicopter crashing and then being blown up, they're safe. They're done. They don't have to go away. They can do whatever they want. So then they get their weapons. They get all geared up. They go out and kill the walkers and they work together. There's a scene where Michonne has the rebar through one eyeball of the zombie, and in the same zombie, like the left eyeball or the right eyeball, and the left eyeball is Rick using his knife hand thing. And it's kind of funny because they both stab through the eyeballs, and you're like, man, it's just it's like good and cheesy and whatever all at the same time. But it's just like it works, and they go and they kill the walkers and they get out of the building. They get to into the yellow vehicle, the hybrid Jeep, SUV type thing, and Rick gets into the passenger seat. And that was the time where people saw Rick and Michonne there, and that was the pictures that we thought that Rick lost his hand because something looked off about it. And I remember all those people that said Rick's not going to lose his hand, Rick's not going to lose his hand, Rick's not going to lose his hand, and all this other derogatory mean stuff on there too. Where are those people now? Nowhere to be found because Rick lost his hand in the first 5 minutes of the series, which is hilarious. So, but Rick gets into the driver's seat. And Michonne gets into the passenger seat. It's a stick shift. So then Rick, doesn't know how to drive stick, evidently. So Michonne and Rick have to switch seats, and they kiss and do whatever, blah, 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 which we thought they were kind of getting it on kind of thing from the filming. And then Rick gets in the passenger seat. Michonne gets in the driver's seat. They look in the back. They see bottles or canisters of ethanol. So it's a hybrid. And Michonne's like, oh, we have enough electricity and gas to get back home. So they go. And where Rick looks out, the walker comes and hits the closed window on the passenger side. And Rick's like, okay, we can go. And then Michonne pulls out like pretty slowly, hits one of the walkers and kind of moves him out of the way. And then they drive away slowly down the road. And then as Michonne looks, she checks the rearview mirror and the building collapses behind her. She smiles. Rick says something like, we can take over the world, blah, 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 if we wanted to. And Michonne says, that sounds like something I'd say. And he's like, yep. And then they drive off, and Michonne smiles, Rick smiles. And it's basically like Rick was driving the van before on The Walking Dead, and Michonne was in the passenger seat. But this time, the roles are reversed, and they drive away from the building as it crumbles down. And that's the end of the episode. The next week's episode, we see a figure in a jacket and a thing, and it's clearly Jadis. So Jadis is going after them. I'm guessing Jadis Jadis can't leave it alone. She is probably sent there by Major General Beale or Thorne or herself or whatever. And I'm guessing it's the episode, because it's episode 5, we're running out of episodes, where Jadis goes down after Rick and Michonne, right? So we don't see that in the trailer, but we see like a cabin kind of thing, and we get to see like, I think it's Michonne or Rick tries to kill one of the walkers, and it has this hard calcium things on its head, calcification things, and I guess those are the Yellowstone walkers from the whatever is what people are saying too. So, but that's next week's episode. Is I'm guessing the big showdown with Rick and Jadis and Michonne, especially the high speed chase in the vehicles, and then we see them in between with like the sleeping bags and stuff with the drapes going through, and we have a whole different video talking about that, where we believe it's Yellowstone National Park in one of the places that we're mimicking it, and we know that it was filmed in New Jersey, but it's supposed to take the place of that too. So there's a lot of stuff coming up for there, but then we know from also all their filming that eventually that we're going to probably have the summit showdown with Major General Beale and the powers that be there too. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to end it. There's been no talk or spoilers about that just yet. But Jadis is still on the hunt for Rick and Michonne, and Rick and Michonne are safe. And I don't know if Rick and Michonne are driving, and then somehow Jadis catches up to them and knocks them off course, because Michonne says, we can't go home now. Because if Jadis knows, I guess it's because Jadis finds them, clearly, and Jadis knows that they're still alive. If they got away and Jadis never found them, they could have went home, but now they can't. So the other kind of thing I'm thinking about is, and I've said this for a while now too, is like, what could happen that would make Rick and Michonne not be able to go back home? Because in a perfect world, they get in the yellow car and they drive away, and that's where it ends. And that's what Gimple said. But this is The Walking Dead we're talking about here. There's going to be problem after problem after problem after problem after problem, and Jadis is the problem here. So I would assume they have to kill Jadis, right? But if they do kill Jadis, so what if they just kill Jadis away from everything, right? I guess people are just going to go through her stuff, and they're like, okay, here's this place called Alexandria. You need to bomb it. And Jadis is dead, so she doesn't care about, not telling them before. But she would really leave that behind and do that? Sure, why not, right? So is she bluffing? Is she not? We'll have to see. Like, what if Jadis is bluffing? What if Jadis said all that to save her butt? Because Rick could go after her, and they could fight, and Rick could kill her. But now with the threat of, you kill me, your people are in trouble, That's pretty smart of Jadis. But what if it's not true? What if she didn't write anything or have anything there too? That's all a possibility as well. Well, we do know that somebody comes back to, I guess, the Commonwealth. Because when Daryl talks to Carol on the radio and she says so-and-so came back, who was it? Right? And what timeline is that? What's the timeline of things? Because if this is going on now in the current timeline of 2024, it's not Rick and Michonne. Because they're there. When was this? Was it Morgan? Is it? I mean, there's a lot of questions. And people are thinking it's Michonne, a lot about this. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things. And again, people are going to say a lot of things until it's answered. A lot of different things too. So there's definitely things that are out left to be answered. A lot of people are thinking Heath, Morgan, Winnie. Yeah. So we'll have to see. The big question is too, like after it's all said and done in 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks we'll be talking about the finale. And how's it going to end? Who's going to survive? Is it going to be left open-ended? Is it going to be set in a way that the possibilities are open? Is it open-ended? Because I would assume we need it somewhat open-ended. What's going to happen with Esteban? What's going to happen with Rick, Michonne, Thorne, Jadis, Major General Beale? That's the big characters that are left. So in the first 2 episodes, where you meet Okafor, dead. We meet Aiden, Bailey, and Nat, dead. Episode 3, no dead. Episode 4, no death. So what's going to happen in episodes 5 and 6? Does somebody die there? Will Jadis die? Is Michonne going to get her sword back? I don't know. There's a lot of questions like that too, I don't know. It's like a lot of stuff's left there. And so this is definitely a filler episode, but it's still good. It's not like the bottle episode like Tara and Heath in season 7. You're like, what the? Season 7, episode 6? You're like, that is a bottle episode of a bottle episode that was like turned into something else. And this is like a catch-up kind of bottle episode that doesn't really extend the series by any means, but it catches everything up and it was necessary. And so we got 2 episodes left to see where this goes. And that's the big question. Who survives? Or I guess the big questions. Who survives? What does this lead into? Are we going to have a season 2? Are we going to have this? Right? Like so I would assume that Gimple, Andy Lincoln, and Denai Guerrera sat down and were like, okay, guys, we have 6 episodes. We have to do this, and that. And Denai Guerrera has said, I've seen the interviews, it's a limited series. It's been a limited series forever, right? Since inception, it's been a limited series. So what does that mean? Okay, so this could be 1 season of 6 episodes, but that doesn't mean that Rick and Michonne die. That does not mean that we do not see them again in a new series. This just could be the stepping stone for the next series. If we don't get a season 2, we could get another series, right? Gimple's supposedly working on another series. And I do want to know, like, what's going on with the universe, right? Like, Daryl is in no man's land in France. If that doesn't really connect, it's a pretty big waste of time. Like, it feels pretty good to see Daryl and this and the story that's going on there, but like, what are we doing here? Like, if he doesn't go to the French CDC, and if he doesn't go to this, and he doesn't connect the dots a little bit here, like, what are we doing here? Like, what is going on here? Just extending things. And if Dead City, so Dead City was basically forcing Negan to work with somebody, right? And it was Negan working with Maggie. And that's kind of what it's been. Like, the Negan-Rick stuff, that's kind of what it was. It was forced upon it, and they had their little moments, blah, blah, blah. But Negan actually really carried that show, in my opinion. And all the good things about that series were connected with Negan, and not so much Maggie, in my opinion. So we'll have to see what happens with the Dama and New York and this and that. But I don't know why I would connect with the CRM, because the CRM is hidden. And the city is the city, right? So if you have to get there by boat, I don't know. I don't know what it would really be, right? The CRM could go there, but I don't know. They're not just going around. They're just taking over the city and living around the city and doing all that stuff. And I don't know how there'd be so many walkers in the city by now too, especially with them making fuel and using them and doing all that. Especially if you're not getting new people in all the time. And if they do, it's very few. But either way, we'll have to see what happens with that story and filming in Massachusetts next month. We'll have to see if anybody shows up, if there's any there too. And because, we've been getting some really good information about filming for all of the spinoffs, right? On this channel, we found out a lot about Dead City. We shared a lot of good photos with the ones who live. My friend was one of the first people to get a picture of Rick Grimes, and we shared it here on the channel and making there too. So we're still getting good quality information on this channel here as well. And we're going to be talking about the Walking Dead universe really until it's done, or, so I don't know. After 2 weeks from now, when the finale is over, hopefully we have some information about Dead City season 2 filming, because that'll start filming the next month. Then also the Daryl Dixon show. When is that? When is that going to be on television? The word is that it's going to be a summer show, but what does that mean? June, July, August? And again, that's 6 more episodes. 6 weeks, 6 more episodes. So we'll have to see what remains, and then... So, after this show's done, The Ones Who Live is done this season, we have 6 episodes of Daryl Dixon. That's it. There's nothing else. And that kind of sucks. And then I don't know if and when they're going to start filming the 3rd season of Daryl Dixon. And then Dead City season 2 will probably be next year, early next year. That may be the February show then, I'm guessing. But that remains down the road. Let's get through these next 2 episodes left of The Ones Who Live. And we'll have to see how it ends. See how it sets things up for the remaining characters who live. But I find it hard to believe if Thorne lives, just based on everything that's going through. And I'll find it hard to believe if Jadis. Jadis is too dangerous to leave alive, right? The CRM is the biggest military operation in the world, according to Okafor. But it's one of those things where they're dangerous. And you wouldn't want to have anybody left around that could kill that. Kill Alexandria, attack Alexandria, bomb them. Alexandria, Commonwealth, And I still find it hard to believe that the Commonwealth doesn't have some sort of agreement with the CRM. But, Tech Guy 40, who do you think when Carol said has come back? Who can it be, and where is Virgil? Virgil is MIA. Virgil has been MIA for a while. So who can it be? It could be anybody. It could be Morgan. It could be Michonne. It could be Rick. It could be Rick and Michonne. It could be Negan. It could be Maggie. It could be a lot of people. But I don't know. Like, it was clearly left ambiguous for a reason. It was a breadcrumb. It was a connecting point. It was something that was left there to draw people in to say, who could it be? A lot of people think, yeah, it could be Dog. All right, I don't know. That would be really crappy. It was like Dog came home. You're like, okay, good. He's a good boy. Great. Oh, my gosh. That's what that was? And again, the Walking Dead universe is notorious for build up, hype, build up with a hype, build up, hype. And then when it actually is there, falls flat. Just not that great. It's just the execution of things, just how it's done. You're like, ugh, that's what that was. You know, or maybe it's good. We'll see. But eventually, what are we doing here? What is the finale? What is this going towards? What is it going to be? What is the end game? Right? Like right now, the MCU end game is crap. After end game, because it was the end game. It's over. It's like when you play a video game. And you do the main story, and you do the side quests, and a main story, and a side quest, and a main story quest, and this and that, boom. And then you finish the story, but then your character is like just in the city now. And then you're like, what do I do? Because I just finished the main story. Oh, there's a couple other side quests, but that's not enough great thing to do anymore and play. The main story's there. It's like Spider-Man. You ever play the game Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 or whatever? You finish the story, you do a side quest, you do this, boom, boom, but then you can just still swing around the city and do all this stuff. And it's like, now what? I guess nothing, because I'm done with the game. But in the Walking Dead universe or comic book universe, stuff is still left. There's still stuff to do, right? Like these characters are still left alive. So we'll have to see. But I just don't know what the end... Because if the end game is not CRM versus everybody, CRM versus the world, and we don't get a big, epic, battle, awesome sequence, something, if it's a movie or a 6-episode series or something, because they love their 6-episode series, what else is going to be? I don't know. Like, I just don't know what it's going towards if it's not that. But we'll see. Either way, that remains to be in the future, in the past, and coming up. You know, it is what it is, and what's done is done, and what's going to be is what their plan is, and that's Gimple, AMC, powers that be, and all that stuff too. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are thinking this, and a lot of people are thinking that, and it's just going to be a lot of people saying oh, they set this up. They're showing Morgan's coming back. We're showing this. Well, if Rick and Michonne are in Montana or Wyoming, Morgan ain't going there. Well, maybe he will. Maybe Morgan will just teleport like he does in the Walking Dead universe and be like, hey, guys, I heard you were in Yellowstone. Like, if Morgan shows up there, oh, man, that would be pretty hilarious. Because it wouldn't make sense. Like some things, like so far, all 4 episodes of The Ones Who Live have made sense. It caught us up to date with Rick and the bridge, and so many years after the bridge, and then now, and then after the bridge with Michonne, and then now, and then this, and then this. You know, it's stuff there too. Whether people are like the timeline and this, and yeah, whatever. It is what it is. It's not going to be perfect by any means. We have to look past it. We have to give it a pass for some things, you know. If we're thinking it's going to be perfectly right and perfectly connected and perfectly this, it's just wishful thinking. Like, you're going to set the standard so high. It's just that it doesn't make sense. Thorne wasn't in the helicopter. JC101. Did Thorne die in the helicopter when it crashed into... No, Thorne was not in the helicopter. Last episode, Thorne told Rick, you bring her back to this Philadelphia. You do this, and you're there too. Thorne's not in the helicopter. Thorne is back at the Cascadia Center. Cascades, whatever. So is Jadis. Jadis was sent there. She was stationed there. She's going to be there full time, even after the summit. So they're pretty close to where it was. So Jadis can get there. Thorne is back at the Cascadia place. So that's not, Thorne wasn't on there. It was just other CRM people and Rick and Michonne. So no. But we'll have to see what happens. Will Thorne sell out General Beale, Major General Beale, or sell out Rick and Michonne to Major General Beale? Will she sell him out to Jadis? Will Thorne step up and how? Because there's a shot of Jadis in the trailers in the woods, and she has her gun pointed down at someone, like in the woods, in the branches and leaves or whatever. So who is there? We don't know. Who's it going to be? We don't know. It would assume, and we would assume that it's Rick and or Michonne, but that's got to be coming up because we haven't seen it in the episodes yet, but it's got to be in the 2 remaining episodes, 5 and 6. So, and we do know from filming of the 6th episode, we're going to see a bunch of CRM trucks and transport vehicles and military things and a base with a CRM flag and all this other stuff. So again, we know that the CRM is the Civic Republic military, the military part of the CR, the Civic Republic. So I'm guessing that the Civic Republic people will be at the summit with Major General Beale to talk about what's going on and to talk about those things too. So could people show up there? I hope so, but I think that'll be the final episode when we actually get to see the summit, because a lot of stuff's got to happen before that with Rick, Michonne, and Jadis in next week's episode. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen to be the big epic showdown with them. So the big $1 million questions are out there still. Who lives? Who dies? Is this going to be one season? Are we going to have another series? Is it going to be this? Who came back? This and that? There's just no way to tell. There's no way to tell at this point. And I'm sure people are going to be talking about it on social media, on YouTube, about, oh, this happens, that happens, Morgan's coming up, Morgan's going to save Rick, Morgan's going to do that, Morgan's going to do this is going to happen there, Michonne's going to be this, Daryl's going to be here. It's like Carol's going to like all these things. People are going to be talking to all this crazy stuff, and we all know that it's the universe of speculation, because that is that story. It's just all this crap. What actually happens, we'll find out over the remaining 2 episodes and beyond. So I'm excited to see where it's happening. It's got me still interested in it. It's got me going where I'm excited to see what's going to happen with these characters, with this story. Rick and Michonne are essential to the Walking Dead universe still. And they do a great job. I think it's drawn us all back in. I think it's definitely something that has drawn us back in time and time again with these 2 actors and characters. And it's just really cool. I'm excited to see where it happens. They can still, if they have a big epic showdown with the CRM, I think it would do really well. And if you have Rick and Michonne and everybody working together, I think it would do really well. But again, I don't know. I don't know how good the ratings are for them. I don't know if it's enough. Each of these episodes was rumored to believe, I think it was $13 million an episode. That's a lot of money. That's a ridiculous amount of money. Are they making that money back? I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is that their episodes are clearly, less than an hour. But I'm thinking it's over an hour because they probably have 20 to 30 minutes of commercials in their blocked off time for the show on AMC. So I don't watch it on AMC, but if it goes from 9 to 10:20 and the episode is like 50 minutes, that's like close to 30 minutes of commercials. So I'm guessing that's how they're making their money back. But ultimately, that's their concern, not ours. We just have to talk about it, break it down, discuss it, and enjoy it. And I'm enjoying it, that's for sure. Are you guys liking the show? Are you excited about the Walking Dead universe again? Did you ever lose interest in it? I'm sure everybody in here has enjoyed it, but it's one of those things where have you stopped watching it as much? Because I know a lot of people have. Last question here, Phantom Deluxe Q&A. Do you think they should focus more on setting up CRM against the main heroes, probably starting with the beef between Major General Beale and Rick? We'll have to see. That could be the major ending of it. The way I assume, too, is that Rick and Major General Beale are going to have a fight scene, and Major General Beale has his sword that he talked about so much at Okafor's, funeral thing. I just could see that happening with it too. So James asks, have I seen Arthur the King with Mark Wahlberg? I have not. Is it good? I am excited for season 2 of the Daryl Dixon Show. And there you go, guys. That's my hour. I appreciate you guys taking the time here. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe. If you're, having any alcohol, be careful with that. Safety first and always. Do not drink and drive. And call an Uber and just be safe on there too as well. So I'll be back next Sunday to talk about The Ones Who Live, Season 1, Episode 5, all that good stuff. And remember to like, share, subscribe. We truly appreciate all the love and support. Big shout out to my patrons, my members, my subscribers. Thank you for the super chat. And you guys are awesome. And remember, with hard work and dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it. It's about love, support, staying positive, working hard. You can do it no matter what it is. Thank you, guys. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and I'll see you guys